Challenge Australasia. 3 classes will be doing battle today. We have championships on the line, and one of them's been sealed. I'm Cameron Vandendungen, joined by Sam Charlwood. We'll have Renato Liberto in the commentary box a little later on. We are set for a wonderful day's racing. It's going to be a 30-minute race. Pole behind us, same as yesterday, Sam.
I cannot wait, Cam. We had never visited QR for the Ferrari Festival before, so a lot of this layout, this circuit, and the backdrop here was foreign to a lot of the drivers, but as the weekend has gone on, we've seen so many fascinating storylines. We've seen some guys develop maybe a little bit faster than others, and it all comes down to this last race.
Damien Hamilton, the pole man, dominated yesterday. He had pole and a race win on Saturday, hoping to do it again today, but he's not in the title fight. The title fight actually is a bit further behind. Very different story out in front, and we might have a chat with these drivers, but before we do, for those joining us again today, no matter where you are in the world for this broadcast, conditions couldn't be more different than they were yesterday. Lots of sun, heat, and a tailwind down this front straight that was quite gusty at times. Feels like a slight headwind now, lower ambient, and a little bit of threat of rain maybe late in this race.
Yeah, those dark clouds are above us, but I think, fingers crossed, we're going to be clear today. It's currently 22 degrees, so perfect weather to watch a bit of Ferrari action here at Queensland Raceway. And a big crowd as well. We've had thousands of people stream through, a real carnival atmosphere here in pit lane. Great to see so many people out, maybe people that aren't all that familiar with motor racing as well. So new fans and old here to see Ferrari action.
We've had more than 5,000 people through the gates over the last 2 days. Let's have a chance to talk to the drivers. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Away you go, Sam.
Thank you, Cam. So we're going to jump in with our pole sitter, Damien Hamilton. Damien, hello. You have had a mortgage on this weekend from start to finish. Every practice, every pole. You won the race yesterday as well. How are you feeling ahead of race 2?
Yeah, wanting to try and do the same, keep that momentum going. But Steve's found some pace overnight, and he's right there. So it was a very tight qualifying. So he's an experienced driver. We got to get this right.
It was a fascinating qualifying session. Obviously, a lot happening out on track, but for much of it, you were sitting in pit lane, looking at the times and conserving your tyres. You have to use the same set of tyres for qualifying and the race, obviously. So you and Steve have both been quite strategic here, and you're going out on what, 7, 8 lap old rubber?
Pretty much, yeah. I think we had probably 3 flying laps in the first bit, and then I did half of one covering off Enzo in case he was pushing in that last bit. So then I pulled off it once it was all right.
Okay. And yesterday you were so good with just executing, building a bit of a buffer and then consolidating. Is that the plan for this afternoon as well? All going well?
That's the plan. If everyone else would like to follow it, that'd be great. But there's other people. I'm sure Steve's got the same plan. So that's what you try for. But you got to be lucky if people start fighting and it takes that away from your problem. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's great to get your time this afternoon. Good luck for the race.
Thank you very much.
All right, Cam.
Now, Sam, I thought I'd bring you across to the other side of the front row. Steve Wyatt, who was unbelievably quick yesterday and showed incredible pace. Fastest man in practice, nearly 0.05 of a second away from pole position, but it was quite strategic. You stayed in the pit lane late, put it in only 7 laps in the bank. It gives you a tyre advantage again today, just like you saw yesterday.
Well, I'm trying to recoup my yesterday's not so good effort, but anyway, we're up the front row this time, so hopefully it should be okay.
For those that are just joining us on the broadcast today, Steve's referring to an incident that happened down at turn 3, but I'll take the positive side for you. You looked very strong under brakes there into 3, and the car looks to be very strong on corner entry.
And the car brakes incredibly well. It's an incredible car, and it has just as much power as it has brakes, so it's a pretty impressive piece.
So you're a little bit further forward. It was slightly slower off the start line yesterday and had to do the work later. Have you got a strategy that you're putting in place for at least a better launch today off this front row?
Well, I'm hoping to stay with Damien Hamilton into the first corner, and if I can achieve that, that'll be okay, you know. So.
We know you got the pace. The only 2 drivers into the 8s. Good luck, Steve, with this race. We'll continue, Sam, for the wander down the grid. So Trofeo Pirelli, they're our top class.
Yep.
I think we need to look at Copper Shell now, because that's another one with the championship on the line.
Yep.
It was level pecking before they got to qualifying, but then this driver right here, Taguchi-san.
Yep.
It's now in the championship lead by 1 point because of this pole position. I'll let you dive in.
Yeah, so it's a really fascinating storyline, this one. We know we've got one more round of the championship after this race, but it's really getting to a heated point of the championship. And fortunately, we have Lachlan Maneath. Now, you are the driver coach for not only Taguchi-san, but also David Truern as well. So you kind of got a foot in both camps today.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's been a really interesting championship battle this year between Massa and David at the front of the Copper Shell class, and I think they were exactly even on points this morning, and Massa's single point for pole puts him just in front. So yeah, it's definitely been very interesting being the coach to both drivers. I mean, both drivers are obviously kind of in their own journey of motorsport and looking for different things out of myself as a coach. But yeah, definitely an interesting position being between the two, but they're both really respectful guys, and it's a pleasure to be a part of it.
As we continue the countdown to the final minutes of this race, can you quickly sort of summarise what the strengths of these two guys are and where we might see them be stronger in this race?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like we look at qualifying, it was incredibly close. It was half a tenth of a second was the top three in Copper Shell class, but even within that, there's actually nearly half a second between the drivers in terms of where they're strong over a lap. So it's very interesting. So we're keen to see how it goes.
I think you'll win either way this afternoon. So thank you for your time and good luck.
Very good. Thanks.
So Lockie Manif has got the championship leader next to him right now by 1 point. Let's go and talk to David Truern, who's the second place man in the championship, second in class here. I'm going to jump in with David Truern very quickly if I can. He's having a quick chat to the team. I don't want to interrupt you while you're having that chat. You got another 10 minutes, did you say there, Dave Truern? 1 point down in the championship, but geez, it's close. We've got one round to go and one race.
Yeah, no, well, I'll do everything I can. Like I went for it in quali, I got blocked. I ended up doing 24 qualifying laps, which is I did not want to do because I wanted to get in front of Massa. So yeah, I think it's the start and the first two corners, and we'll just have to see what happens.
Some of the racing, I'm not sure if you've watched back the footage from yesterday. We were very busy looking at Trofeo Pirelli, but it was on for young and old, wasn't it? It was just brutal racing out there.
No, absolutely, and it's great that we're all giving each other space, and Massa and I love racing against Massa because we give each other room, but I think there was 0.05 between us in quali, so it's very tight.
I have to ask the question, you're a race car driver, do you consolidate and try and get points for a championship run, or do you go for the win?
I definitely get points for the championship run.
Oh, normally I get drivers saying win at all costs.
No, I want to win the championship, so I need to be smart.
Very good. You heard it here. Well, good luck, David Truern. He's currently in the hunt for that championship. I think we'll use this moment now to go back because we have one other class. So we've spoken to the outright contenders for the race today. We've spoken to the championship protagonists with Copper Shell. Yep. What about Trofeo Pirelli, the 488? I know you love a 488.
I love the 488. I've got a very soft spot for the 488, and we'll make our way back there now. To get another championship complexion playing out there, and he doesn't actually know it yet. We might drop a bit of news on our man Ross Temain at the back here, but yeah, as we make our way back to the back of the field here, Cam, it's a brilliant circuit this for Ferrari racing, isn't it? Because QR is a circuit 3.12 kilometres in length. It's got 5 right-hand turns, 2 left, and it's a circuit that is big on brakes but also big on acceleration as well. So it's really well suited to these cars. We're going to jump in quickly with Ross Temain. Ross, hello. Thank you for joining us so close to the race here. What's the plan for this one?
The plan for this one is to just get a clean start, and I'm actually hoping for a bit of rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why a bit of rain?
Just to even it up a bit and try and get me a bit closer to the front.
Okay. Can I give you a little bit of a silver lining before you start here? We've actually done the sums here. You now have an unassailable lead in the 488 Challenge category, so congratulations.
Thank you. That's excellent. Yeah. Awesome.
How does that make you feel?
Oh, mate, maybe I should just go to hospitality and enjoy.
Go and crack a beer.
Yeah. No, that'd be good.
Yeah. Good on you. Thank you, and good luck for the race.
We're just having a chat with Sam Brabham in the background. We might walk to the side of track, jump over here, because we're getting close now to the cars rolling. So we'll start making our way up. Let's have a chat. The cars are in position right now. Ross Temain, he's got this championship in the bag. Now, we say that, but at the same time, he has to be careful because you can get points penalties. So we won't call it until the end of the weekend. We may have to motor here pretty quickly to get ourselves off the track. Although it says, no, we've got time. We've got time. 5 minutes to go before we get Ferrari Festival Queensland Race 2, final race of the weekend underway. Things to consider here. Steve Wyatt has a tyre advantage. Only did 7 laps in qualifying. Remember, they must use the same tyres from qualifying in the race trim. Over 30 minutes, we heard from Ross Temain yesterday, the tyres went off at half race distance.
Yep. I think he's got an advantage there, Steve, definitely, but also Damien Hamilton was a very similar situation for him. As we heard from him before, he only had about 7 hot laps on his tyres as well. So we saw Damien yesterday just go out of the blocks. He was so strong in those opening laps, really good defensively, but more on the attack than anything else, and he was able to build such a big lead and then control it. So I reckon that's going to be his strategy for race 2.
He won't have it all his own way. It was 0.05 of a second splitting the top 2. It'll be very close this race. Stick around. In the meantime, though, let's go up to Renato Liberto, who's going to take us through some of the highlights from yesterday.
Thank you, boys. Great wrap there on the grid, and awesome to see Ross Tremaine wrap up the 488 Trofeo Pirelli Championship. Still 3 races to go in the year. I'm sure he will be in the hospitality afterwards, but look at that grid there, headed by that fantastic 849 Testarossa Assetto Fiorano model. Now let's see how we got to this point here. Highlights from day 1 and race 1 of Ferrari Challenge here, round 4, Queensland Raceway. Jim Pollicina had an awesome start, really looks to the inside to see if he could get his nose there, but Enzo Cheng shut the door. Coming through turn 1 as the field sort of condensed, Enzo got pushed wide a little bit by Damien Hamilton, and Jim Pollicina, as always, made the most of that move. The 77 car there is Steve White. Obviously wanted to jump onto the back of that lead group and stay with them as best he can, and David Trewern off to a magnificent start there in the Copper Shell class. As these guys settled into a rhythm, Damien Hamilton pulled a more than 7-second gap on the field at the first phase of the race. I got to say, Enzo Cheng, though, was the guy who had a lot of pace there, really putting pressure on the back of Jim Pollicina as he could. That 127 car of Trewern featured heavily in Copper Shell. That championship race between him and the 105 of Taguchi-san. Only 1 point in it now as we go into race 2. Midway through the race, and Stephen White, the 77 car, really turned the wick up as he did. He had fresher tyres than the other cars in front. It was putting a lot of pressure on those leaders coming into the middle phase of the race. Ross Tremaine took out race 1, clean sweep again from day 1 there for him, and obviously on pole for this race 2 for the the Trofeo Pirelli 488 class. A lot of moving and shaking going in the midfield. Steve couldn't get the car to stick, had a really good front end on the car, could really get the car stopped and turned it up the inside, but Enzo just seemed to have more drive off the middle of the corner, really making it hard for Steve to make that work. Turn 3, Queensland Raceway, there's always action down there. Enzo showed the nose inside on Jim Pollicina, and Steve was watching closely, seeing if that was an opportunity for him over the next couple of laps. Jim always having a look, always on the offence there behind Enzo to see if he could make it stick, but turn 1 is very hard on these cars, 230 k's an hour entry speed, 170 through the corner, but then Steve White the very next lap, up the inside, slid the car a little bit through the middle of the corner, got choked a bit on the exit, but really slammed the door in Jim's face on the way through the exit of the corner. They did have a look at that and say it was all fair and play on, but Steve had a lot of pace here compared to the other cars, particularly through turns 1, 2 and 3, the first stage of the lap. A little bit of damage there in the front left with some contact with the 7 car of Pollicina with Wyatt, and he really had pace sort of working on the back of Enzo, trying to get past and hoping he could try and close the gap to Hamilton, who just had a clean set of heels at this point. Turn 3 really seemed to be the spot for Steve. He was looking there every lap for an opportunity to get past Enzo Cheng. The door came open, he made the move up the inside, but on the dirty line there over those bumps, the car ran deep. Managed to keep the car out of the gravel trap, which was great, but that also then let the car 7 of Jim Pollicina slip back through only a corner later. The next lap, up the inside, there was contact between the two. The 77 into the side, unfortunately breaking the rear control arm of that 77 and effectively ending his race in the DNF. Jim's car was able to nurse onto the finish. Didn't have the performance it needed, but Damien Hamilton just an absolutely perfect race and a fantastic rollout to race 1 of Ferrari Challenge. Enzo Cheng coming through in a great second place. Really kind of good gap between him, but David Trewern in the 127 really showed his pace in that first race.
Renato Liberto there, mate. I think you've got a career in motorsport up your sleeve there. Well done, taking us through the highlights from the race yesterday. Last race of the weekend, and then we have one more round at Sydney Motorsport Park coming up later this year in September. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are around the world, wherever you are around Australia, whether it's KO Sports, Fox Sports, or through the YouTube channel. We know we've got an audience around the world. More than 5,000 people have come out to Queensland Raceway today to be part of the Ferrari Festival. I'm so glad it's come to Queensland. Let's have a look at the circuit here. It's the first time the Ferrari Challenge Australasia has come to this circuit in racing trim. It is a very tight track with only 6 turns, but exceptionally difficult to get right. There are passing opportunities. Turn 1, turn 3's the big passing opportunity. Then you can also get a move done through turn 4 before you get that run up to turn 6. Critical exit speed is a priority for drivers, and we'll see the advantage going different ways. We know Steve Wyatt, who's one of our front row, very strong on corner entry, particularly under brakes, but Enzo Cheng, who starts out of position 3, was very quick out of corners, and those two, if they end up dicing again, will be a very spicy little battle.
That's right, Cam. And also for me, watching the way the grid's formed up, Taguchi-san, we know, put the car on pole for Copper Shell class, but that's actually slotted him directly in front of Jim Pollicina. Jim's going to have a fair bit of work to do to get past Masahiro early in this race, because if he does get caught behind there, those 3 front cars are really going to put some space on him, and he's going to have a fair bit of work to do over the course of this race.
Official grid. Damien Hamilton starts on pole for the 2nd time this weekend. Alongside him, Steve Wyatt. They were separated by only 0.05 of a second at the end of qualifying. Enzo Cheng, he's in the hunt for a championship. He starts out of position number 3 before we look to the front row of the Copper Shell category. Masahiro Taguchi will start out of position 4, but he is on pole for Copper Shell. David Trewern will start just behind him on the row 3, but he will be 2nd in class. Jim Pollicina, your championship leader, starts out of position 6. We look to Mark Hutters, who's having a great weekend out of position 7. Adnan Sibai is also further back. Norden, Frisch, Yu, Baildon, then Ross Tamain, your championship winner for the Trofeo Pirelli 488, and Stephen Coe at the back of the grid. We are not far away from a race start now. We are in the hands of Damien Hamilton, yesterday's winner, the fast man this weekend. Will he have it all his own way? I think Steve Wyatt will have something to say about it. The start is now in the hands of all drivers. We are racing for the final time at Ferrari Festival Queensland. Damien Hamilton holds on to the inside down at turn number 1. Squeezing across is Steve Wyatt. He holds on to that 2nd position. Enzo Cheng under massive threat from the 7 of Jim Pollicina, who's the big mover, just like he was yesterday. He's around the outside of Enzo Cheng through turn number 2, but Cheng holds the inside as they go for the big stop. No, he doesn't. Jim Pollicina got enough over lap to now have a look up the inside.
Well, what an opening lap for Pollicina. That was absolutely incredible. Had their early duck out like he did yesterday, made it stick the whole way through 1, and then forcing Enzo as well as Trewern and Taguchi on the way through was an amazing first lap into P2.
Well, I have a feeling Steve Wyatt saw him coming and thought there was a square up on its way from turn 3 yesterday. So it's Hamilton from Pollicina, Wyatt, Cheng, Trewern, your top 5. So on that, Trewern has got Taguchi, who's now got Hutters between himself and his title rival.
And that's what we thought yesterday after race 1. Seeing that pace of Mark Hutters this morning, it's really going to throw a spanner in the works of that Copper Shell Championship points as well. There's 1 point between Taguchi and Trewern here, with Mark Hutters in the mix now showing pace. That's going to gap them by 3 or 4 points, and that could be a real change for our final race in Sydney now in a couple of months' time.
So we're watching multiple battles in the one race. This is the battle of Steve Wyatt and Enzo Cheng. Steve Wyatt, he's been so quick, but he struggled off the start yesterday. We'll see his pace really come up. What works for Jim Pollicina right now, though, is that Steve Wyatt is putting a better points buffer between himself and Enzo Cheng. Remember, the driver in 2nd and 4th, Enzo Cheng on screen right now, currently 2nd in championship, and his title rival is 2 spots up the road from him.
Yeah, that's really coming into play. We've heard everyone this weekend talking not just about the race they're about to do, but the championship they're trying to win. Everyone's thinking long game here and really trying to focus on getting good championship points, not just getting a result in the race right now.
It starts to settle down now. The first 5 minutes of our 30-minute race, plus 1 lap, have elapsed. Hamilton got a 1-second lead on Jim Pollicina. It's not the gap he had yesterday, not early on in this race. He'd skipped away from them, but they've found more pace. There's the 88 to the outside of turn number 6.
I was just about to say as well, looking there, Tamain, up to that point, was inside the top 10. So talk about flying first laps. Ross Tamain has gone from rear of grid up into P10 at the start of that race, which is an awesome effort given he's in the 488 class.
So we've got our first real timed laps in the bank. A 1:10.5 from Hamilton, a 1:10.6 from Pollicina.
I think you'd have to say, Cam, as well, with this, a lot of cloud cover now, track temperatures dropped. I wouldn't say we've necessarily got the outright pace in the track available to us, but it will have rubbered up and improved over the course of the day. We've had a relatively dry day and a very, very light sprinkle earlier in the day, which wouldn't have affected grip whatsoever. So I think we'll see some pretty quick times. We saw sort of low 9s yesterday at race pace, which is exceptional in terms of our overall, quickest lap time to seeing in the 8s for qualifying.
Yeah, a couple of drivers into the 9s yesterday. It was both Damien Hamilton and Steve Wyatt, a 109.8 for Hamilton and a 109.9 for Steve Wyatt. The rest of the runners were, well, the majority, I should say, were into the 10s and low 11s. So there is a faster track on offer for them today, and the fastest lap of all goes the way of Pollicina, a 109.8. He didn't do that yesterday. He looks much more confident in the car today, does Jim Pollicina, your championship leader, and he holds on to second, and the gap between first and second on track is less than a second now.
And normally, Cam, between these sessions, I get a chance to jump into our engineering room and have a look at some data. It was full the entire time between the sessions. I had to jump on the laptop in the office and have a look separately at some data, but it's quite interesting. It seems to be Sector 1 is the main variable for our drivers. Sectors 2 and 3, everyone's sort of consistent, but it's that big commitment into that bumpy turn 1, which is where we're seeing some big variation in lap times.
Well, if you look at our track map, it looks like half the track is that first sector.
That's right.
It's turn 1 and 2, but that's a big, fast part of the circuit. So sector 2 is between essentially the entry to turn 3 and halfway between turns 4 and 5. And then the third sector is the entry to turn 5 all the way to the start-finish line. So sector 1 is very fast and open, whereas sector 2 is much more about your braking, your rotation, and your corner exit out of turn 3.
And this is where it's going to be interesting, as you said, they've settled into a rhythm about 6.5 minutes into this race, or 7 minutes into this race. What we normally have been seeing with Steve Wyatt, where he conserves those tyres in qualifying, and about the sort of 10-minute mark, he might up the pace a little bit. You might start seeing him trying to put a little bit more pressure on Pollicina to try and, get in front and sort of hold on to Hamilton. But I think Hamilton's doing an exceptional job at keeping those guys at bay behind without pushing the car too hard.
Copper Shell, the battle's on, isn't it? Trewern and Hutters, that's the battle we've just been watching on screen. Hutters has come to play. Trewern, we heard from him yesterday. He said, who's huttering me up? He was looking in his mirrors. Well, I can tell you, Mark Hutters is back there, and Trewern will start sweating on the grid. He told me he's focused on a championship. If the battle really gets willing, I wonder if he just lets Hutters go.
Yeah, well, he may do. I mean, Hutters, has been a competitor last season. He's done Club Challenge before, been very, very quick every time he's come on track, but he's not in the same championship battle as Trewern is, and it's very, very mature of him to kind of consider that on the grid. It would be safer to let him go if there's going to be a tussle, because he's going to waste his tyres defending against the car he's not actually racing against for points in the race or the championship.
I wonder what your answer would have been back in your heyday. You and I both know what you would have said. And what was it, Ren, if I said you worried about the championship or a race win?
Yeah, trophies or trees, I think is the statement, isn't it?
That was why I was genuine. You know you've got some very intelligent drivers when you're out there and they say, no, I'm playing the long game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they're all really thinking about that. They all like the opportunity of obviously having a championship title against their name, but also we do have an opportunity with Ferrari Challenge globally for these drivers to then head overseas and race in our finale mondiale, which this year is at Catalonia in Spain, which would be just a magnificent opportunity for our championship drivers to head over there.
Geez, it'd be lovely for a holiday, let alone go racing, wouldn't it? Catalonia, hey? And here we go, the 127, David Trewern. He's second in the championship. If it finished the way they are right now, he would take over the championship lead heading into the final round. So it is about getting to the finish line, and we're only at a third race distance. And guess what I'm noting? There's purple on the board, and it's not from the first two drivers. It is from Steve Wyatt. You said 10 minutes in, that's when he'd start to show his form. So the driver in third, Steve Wyatt, is moving very quickly to be the fastest driver, but Hamilton's responded. A 109.8 fastest lap of the race for him. And he's had a new race lap record too, a 109.815. So Hamilton goes quicker than yesterday.
And he's responded immediately. I reckon they'd be watching Steve knowing he was going to do that. As soon as they've seen him turn the wick up, they said, righto, Damien, now's the time. And he spoke of that yesterday on the end of the race. He knew when he needed to push the tyres. He could see on his dashboard if they were going over or under, and he could pull the car back a little bit just to help him build that buffer to keep him sort of safe from any attack behind.
So it's settled down. tyre conservation, tyre strategy, race strategy. It's not just the tyres. Some of the drivers looked a bit tired at the end of the race as well yesterday. It's a bull ring amphitheatre style here at Queensland Raceway. Many of these drivers would have been used to a bit more open, sweeping tracks like a Phillip Island. This one's quite a brutal track on you.
That's right. I mean, just coming back to that lap time as well, Cam, just looking here, a race lap record for Damien Hamilton in a 9.8. We're saying we're not sure about the track. The next two drivers all within basically, you know, a tenth of a second of each other on circuit here. The track obviously does have some pace, and the guys are really extracting performance out of these cars. But Damien still appears to be getting, you know, the easiest performance out of his tyres at this stage. Emil Norton there as well. Yeah, I was looking at Jason Yu also in the picture. So the 144 of Jason Yu and Emil Norton. They're putting on a little battle here. And both of these cars run with our dealerships. Both of these cars run under the Zagami Autosport program. So the black and purple car there on screen coming out of our Zagami Melbourne dealership, with Emil Norton coming out of the Zagami Adelaide dealership. So both running for the same team and same crew, but for represented by two different dealerships within Australia. So yesterday, these two were locked together as well. Emil Norton got the better of him. Though it was a lot of hard work for Emil Norton after throwing it off the track early on, down at turn number 4. Now we're back to Jim Policina, who is looking in the mirrors and can see Steve Wyatt ranging, looming large in the mirrors. Will he have flashbacks to yesterday and the contact at turn number 3? He may not turn in as quickly if Steve Wyatt sends it up the inside. So he's setting him up. It won't be down at turn 1. I have a feeling Steve Wyatt might have a look at turn 3. That gives us a good opportunity to check in at pit lane. Sam Charwood, I hope you're keeping dry.
Yeah, so far staying dry, but I know you guys have been theorising about who's pulling the trigger on laps and when. We've got one of the driver coaches, Steve White. Now, your boy Damo is at the front. What was the message you've just passed through to him now?
We've just been concentrating on putting together qualifying laps, lap after lap after lap, focusing on getting every corner right. Because it's easy under stress to worry about, I missed the apex, so I didn't quite get the braking point right. And so just to keep the mind sharp.
And qualifying laps in a race, it's not normally a strategy you would sort of hear, but why that turn?
I guess when you're in a race for, you know, over 30 minutes long and there's lots of emotion, the pressure's real. You know, you're dealing with today, you know, 15 other cars on the racetrack. There's possibly 5 drivers out there that are capable of winning today, and you need to, you know, keep in front of everybody else. And it's a mental game, so you've got to keep the mental side strong and keep the drivers concentrating.
Good, thank you for your insights. As Steve White is now having a look, so appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
So from Steve White to Steve Wyatt. We're going to be careful how we say that. Steve Wyatt had a cursory look down into turn number 4 before. Runs wide on exit, trying to maintain that corner speed. We know he's good under brakes. Policina closes off, sort of. He does enough and says, I'm awake up to you. And Wyatt ranges up under the rear wing of Policina. Will he send it up the inside at turn 4? He's a long way back, but that hasn't stopped him before. And you can actually see the attitude of the cars as well through turn 1, turn 2, even on the way into 3. Steve putting a lot more energy into his tyres, you know, working the car a lot harder, using a lot more curb, and it's probably at this stage Jim sort of playing the long game a little bit more with his tyres. But Steve is obviously just waging up what options he's got available to him. You know, he tried it on yesterday at turn 3. Jim's going to be very, you know, aware of that overtaking opportunity from yesterday, and will probably do his best to try and stay behind. But unfortunately, they don't have any other car in the mix like they did yesterday with Enzo Cheng to try and, you know, use against him as well. Very wide entry by Steve Wyatt. Moves out to the Ripple Strip, trying to use as much track as possible. It's the corner exit here at turn 2 that will set him up for the passing opportunity down the back straight. The gap to the leader is just edging closer to 3 seconds. It was 2.7 seconds at the last sector marker, just on the entry to turn number 3. And that's a decent advantage he's starting to get, and it's all because these two are battling it out. Enzo Cheng is starting to find some time. He wants to buy a ticket to the race as well. And under brake, Steve Wyatt just gets the job done, but Policina, smart heads-up driving, backing him up, and then getting the corner exit. A bit of a wiggle, though, on the exit of 5.
This could be the opportunity here. Steve's got the momentum down into turn 6. Whether he tries to make it stick here or on the exit down into turn 1 will be insane. But you can see Steve's choked the entry a little bit. The car's had a little bit of a slide. These cars do run a traction control system we can control, but that will hurt his run now down into turn 1.
Look at him in the slipstream. Ducks out. Policina moves his challenge entry to the middle of the track.
We are on for turn 3. We are on for turn 3, Cam. We saw it yesterday a number of times from that 77 car. Steve is going to try for this, use this momentum he's got now down into this big, heavy break into turn 3. We know Steve is strong under brakes.
Policina moves to mid-track. Says if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to do it on a very skinny run into the turn 3 apex. Not able to do it. And the gap is getting ever larger to the leader. 3.6 seconds now.
And this is working Steve's tyres, working Jim's tyres harder, but it's giving Damien all of that advantage he needs to get a little bit more of a margin. I think he got the margin out to 7 seconds yesterday.
Yep.
But as we saw, Stephen White said over the radio, pull it back a little bit, mate. You're probably using too much, taking too many risks. He's doing a fantastic job now of just really controlling this race.
Well, Cheng is less than a second off the back of them now. So Cheng has brought himself in on a battle for second place. Wyatt runs wide. We've got a spin up. That's the 88.
And then Sibai, he had a moment there yesterday at turn 4 as well. We had a number of cars in qualifying have an issue there as well. It is a really hard part to rotate. If you get a little bit wide on the slippery part of the circuit, it will make the car spin very easily. But luckily recovered and with no change to the outcome of the race so far.
So we continue to follow this battle for second place. Let's have a look at what happened to Sabai. Is it a spin? Yes, it is. He's just lost the rear end under brakes on turn in.
Jason Udon there in the 144 has done a great job of avoiding that, avoiding any contact as well. They've been running very close on the timesheets with Emil Norton as well. So those three have been really pushing each other hard for the start of this race. But it's good to see Adnan recover and then get back on track okay.
So we're straight back to the battle for second place. Policina, Wyatt and Cheng. It's the same 3 cars we saw doing battle yesterday. But Cheng is the driver at the back of this battle pack. And he's ever closer, 0.8 of a second now. He was over 2 seconds off the back of them, but because they've been fighting so hard over that position with 12.5 minutes remaining, he's in the hunt for second place.
And you can see how aggressively he's just moving across. You're allowed to move across to that line for entry to turn 1. He's using as much of the road as he can on the way in. Usually we've seen through turn 2, even 3 there, grabbing some curb on the outside here as well, trying to maximise that run he can get the momentum down into turn 3.
11 minutes, 57 seconds plus 1 lap remaining, and he goes to the outside to Steve Wyatt. Almost caught himself out. I thought he was going to run into the back of Policina. He aborts it. And Policina driving very defensively now.
That's going to play into the hands of Enzo Cheng, who's he's wound the wick up a bit now, getting into the 9s again. So he's been closing in a little bit each time, each lap. Some lap traffic there, they're coming past, getting out of the way nicely. Stephen Coe there. Enzo Cheng, though, now right on the back of Steve White in terms of the opportunity to look for a pass as well.
So Steve Wyatt trying to line up a run. Jim Policina is not struggling on the tyres like he was yesterday. Whatever he's done with the car setup, he's getting what he needs out of it. It was championship slipping away kind of stuff yesterday. He managed to just nurse the car home after the contact with Steve Wyatt. And with the championship on the line, you wonder just how much he will defend if Steve Wyatt licks the stamp and sends it. We'll stay with it just to see whether he can put a move on at turn 3. Chops up the run, backs him up slightly, and will live to fight another day. Sam Charlwood, what have you got for us?
Hey guys, yeah, all happening down here. I've got Ben Porter, who is Enzo Cheng's driver coach. Now Ben, he was sort of able to get within that sort of 0.8 from the 2 guys in front of him, but not quite able to get around him. What's the strategy from here?
Yeah, look, with Enzo, it's just a case of keep it clean. the boys in front of him are working pretty hard, and hopefully they use up some cars. So I'm hoping we're going to come to that pair later in the race, and we'll see what we can do.
How important is the championship complexion today? Are you guys thinking of that, or are you just thinking of the race?
Oh, absolutely. That's why Enzo is here, no question about it. So it is important. We need to make as much gain as we can here, but clearly finishing is going to be important.
Great to get your thoughts. Thanks for your time.
Ben Porter there, a driver of note himself, working as one of the driver coaches with Enzo Cheng. Enzo Cheng's just dropped off the back of the two in front. He's actually drifted to 1.6 seconds off the back of these two. I think the fight has come out of them. He might have got caught with a bit of traffic as well. Just keep an eye on that split, still at 1.6 seconds. So we head back now to have a look at our copper shell class. You can tell by the yellow stripe across the windscreen. And in copper shell, it's still David Truern, Hutters and Taguchi in first, second and third. They're 5th, 6th and 7th on track, but remember, they are a class of their own.
And Taguchi-san really needs to work his way past Hutters. This is a championship battle here between the 127 and the 105, and Mark Hutters has joined the party late in the championship, but is really going to put a dent in that championship hopes for Taguchi if he can't get past. It's worth another 2 points for him in that championship battle, which at the moment is only 1 point between them.
Enzo Cheng drifting further again. So the gap between first and second, you can see on screen, is Hamilton to Pollicina, 3.5 seconds at the start-finish line. Wyatt sitting just shy of half a second off the back of Jim Pollicina. He's semi-keeping his powder dry at this point of the race. 8.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining. Although, I don't know if that's keeping your powder dry, running wide on exit at turn 2.
Using all of it and then some on the run down to turn 3 here. We know he's been strong in the race, but Jim knows exactly where to place that 296 challenge car to make it impossible for Steve to get the nose up the inside running into turn 3 there.
So Enzo Cheng dropping right back to nearly 2 seconds off the pace from these two runners. They've taken another half a second out of Hamilton. No doubt he's saving some tyre at the moment. Still holds the race lap record. We've actually got 3 drivers under the race lap record in this race. That was set yesterday. It's the first time Ferrari Challenge has come to Queensland Raceway in the Ferrari Challenge Australasia format. And Damien Hamilton on to make it 2 from 2. And it's been all because of the battle between these two drivers. And it's just sitting steady at 4 seconds, the gap between first and second. Can't see where Steve Wyatt's going to be able to get the move done. Pollicina's just driving a very mature race.
You know, both of these drivers are hugely experienced racers of various categories. Jim doing most of his racing here in Australia in sort of, you know, V8-powered sort of touring cars. Steve, who's done a lot of work in Ferrari Challenge, but also Ferrari GT cars, doing races like Spa, even Le Mans 24 at one point. He had an entry there with of course, the factory outfit. So both of these guys have got a huge amount of experience, and they're going to try and wear each other down. But it's going to be Enzo Cheng that's the real benefactor here if something doesn't go their way.
Plenty of action going on. Stephen Coe getting out of the way of the other drivers, doing a wonderful job. Stephen Coe, one of our Trofeo Pirelli 488 drivers. His fastest lap, a 1:14.3. Yesterday, Stephen Coe, 1:14.9. So he's found 6/10 in race trim. I'll tell you who else has found some speed, and that is Damien Hamilton. A 1:09.537 last lap around. And Steve Wyatt is also looking to get past Pollicina. It's Damien Hamilton on screen right now. He has the race lap record. He has the race lead. And he's looking to have a dominant weekend.
And you can see the attitude of the car. He's not working it hard, is he? He's obviously very, very smooth and very calm on the equipment. Here we go. The move might be on here. This is the classic undercut. If Steve can get the car deep enough to rotate, he might have the drive to hold the car on the outside. He's being a lot more polite than we were yesterday, showing him a lot more room, but this gives him the inside run up towards turn 4 now. So that move started at 2, on the way into turn 3. He'll get it to stick here. I wonder if...
That was a return of serve from yesterday from Jim Pollicina. He saw him run wide and went, you know what? Don't worry about the championship. I'm not letting you through. That was a big move.
It almost looked like he had left the door wide open at turn 3 for him, but then slammed it back in his face at turn 4. That was a big thank you very much for coming, and I'm going to be on my way now. But that's a it's put a little bit of a gap between him again as well, so it's going to make him work even harder again this next lap, Steve Wyatt, to try and close that gap.
There'll be a big smile in the helmet of Jim Pollicina after that move. I thought he was going to worry about the championship and let Steve Wyatt go, but the racer we know Jim Pollicina is would not allow that to happen. And he said, you're going to have to try better than that, Steve Wyatt, if you're going to get my position.
I've just been roughly crunching some numbers. Even if Jim was to let Steve just go through and carry on, he still has a healthy margin over Damien Hamilton if they continue in the current position, with the bonus fastest lap point going to Damien. So it is really, as you say, it's about the championship at this point in time, or whether he wants to worry about the championship at this point in time, because Steve is obviously here to race and is not worried so much about championship points as he hasn't done the full season.
So that was a little moment, wasn't it? Not what we expected. I didn't have that in my script. Jim Pollicina fighting back. 5 minutes, or 4.5 minutes, plus 1 lap remaining. The Trofeo Pirelli have dominated our broadcast for the last 2 days. There are 3 classes out there. David Truern, Mark Hutters and Taguchi are currently doing battle in Copper Shell. And right now the gap between them still sits between Hutters and Truern at just under a second. Taguchi doesn't look like he's going to fight much, but I just saw the body language there of what I believe will be Mark Hutters, and he's just starting to struggle a bit on the tyres.
But he's obviously pushing hard again. He's one that hasn't done the full championship season with us. If he starts putting too much pressure on David's going to really make a call here. He needs some bonus points if he can stay in front of him, so he does have to take a little bit of a risk to get that extra couple of point buffer over Taguchi-san for this race. If he lets him through, it still keeps the gap at only a couple of points between them.
So Pollicina, Wyatt, second and third out on track. They did battle yesterday, and it's renewed with passion today. And when you think of Ferrari, that is probably the word you think of most. As Steve Wyatt goes to the outside of turn 6. A brave man to try and run the high line, and it didn't work out. He ran out of track on the outside of 6, and that plays back into the hands of Pollicina, as to Enzo Cheng.
It really gave Enzo a good opportunity then. That he lost a lot of time, Steve. They're going the long way around. There's no grip out there. It's a lot longer distance to travel as well, and you end up finishing at your acceleration on that sort of slippery curb on the outside. So he probably won't look at doing that again, but with only 2.5 minutes to go, I think that's really handed that second position to Pollicina.
So back to our battle now in the Copper Shell. Truern, he'll take over the championship lead if it finishes as they run on track now. The championship leader at the start of this race was the man in 3rd place in the Copper Shell category in this race, Taguchi-san. But we look back to your race leader, Damien Hamilton, out in front at the moment, holds the current race lap record here. He's had 2 pole positions. The only session he hasn't topped this weekend was practice this morning, but you don't get points for practice.
No, he's really got things figured out here. He's got a really healthy margin. But look in the background, Steve Wyatt is again on the back of Jim Pollicina. He's clearly got some pace in that car, and he's willing to kind of throw the car onto the curbs to try and maximise that opportunity. And this is about the time in the race where Jim's tyres will start to be really hurt him. So Steve will have some slightly fresher rubber on that car, I think, based on their tyre strategy from qualifying 2 this morning.
Steve Wyatt ran a tighter line through turn 2. Jim Pollicina's gone to cover off. Traffic's helped him here. Wyatt looks to the outside. Pollicina moves across on him. Does he turn down? No, Pollicina holds that position. Can they run side by side in the run up to turn 4? Pollicina made sure to give very minimal space on the exit. It was fair, but only by a millimetre.
I mean, it's great to see these 2 guys giving each other respect. They did have a little tussle yesterday, some hard but fair driving by both of them. And to see now this battle on again, lap after lap after lap, it's making great TV as well.
They'll be tired. We'll have 2 laps remaining here because we'll count down, and it is 1 lap on the other side. And Hamilton has gone through. There's the 170 of Frisch.
David Frisch.
Yeah, so he was running back in 12th, the last of the Copper Shell runners. And with 37 seconds remaining, the next time round, they will begin the final lap of race 2 for round 4. of the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Australasia.
Oh, you can see the front end big wash out there by Steve White as he came through as well. As he tipped the car in, the car had a big bounce and front end slide across the bump there, but he still managed to maintain a close enough opportunity here to try and have another go down at turn 3. Here we go, it's on. Up the insiders. Same thing happened yesterday. You hit that big bump, the car runs long on the ABS. Policina's come back to the inside. He knew it was coming. You can see him again leave the door, leave a safe space for him to come through. But it's so hard to slow the car up over that big bump on the way into turn 3.
Steve Wyatt is an enjoyable race car driver to watch. He tries everything. I'll try the outside. I'll try the high line. I'll go the inside. I'll try everything. And Jim Policina, these two will have the biggest smiles on their faces at the end of this race. I wondered how they'd do battle after yesterday. We start the final lap.
I think Jim's really struggling with those front tyres, particularly to get the car stopped. Then you can see the ABS sort of pulsing a bit slower than normal, running the car deep into the middle of that final turn. This is the opportunity here. We've seen Steve do it multiple times. Turn 3 as they come through here. Turn 2, he's pushed wide, cuts to the inside. He's going to use all the curb on the exit as we've seen. Really try and maximise that run. Pull a draft down the back straight and see if he can make an opportunity stick here at the bottom of turn 3.
Traffic will be his best friend. He's going to use the traffic down in the brake marker. Smart drive by Policina. That might be enough to hold him off. We're going to have to turn our attention to the race leader shortly. We'll stay with the battle. Down to turn 4, Steve White will have a look. Damien Hamilton, the race leader, is just going through turn 4 now. And he's not able to do it, is Steve Wyatt. In the meantime, he had pole position, a fastest lap of the race and a race win on Saturday. He's come to Queensland Raceway to dominate. Damien Hamilton, he sat on pole. He's got a new race lap record. And to make it a perfect weekend, your winner in Queensland is Damien Hamilton.
What a race. And looking at the timing sheets as well, Taguchi-san has got through on Hutters, so that's a big bonus point there for him to get up past Hutters and into championship contention now with Trewone. Trewone looks like he's going to come through cleanly here to take the Copper Shell win. Taguchi, though, just on his tail. It's been a magnificent race from all 3 of those Copper Shell drivers to fill out their podium.
What a weekend of racing. Unbelievable. I really enjoyed that. 14 cars can pack a punch, can't they, Ren?
That was great. I mean, this track really does. We said at the start of the weekend, Cam, 6 corners, but far out. Expecting some great racing, constant opportunities to overtake, and all the drivers have absolutely loved coming here. The festival that we have here this weekend with Ferrari is just such an awesome opportunity to get involved with these cars and see things up close, and I think we can't wait to come back here next year.
It's amazing, isn't it? Very happy with what I've seen. I was talking to Filippo from Ferrari, the business development manager of Ferrari Challenge, and he said we have 60 car grids in Europe sometimes that don't put on the racing that we saw this weekend. So a huge credit to the Australasian field. You've done very, very well. And if you're watching this broadcast back in the future, hats off to you from the commentary box. We really enjoyed the racing across both Saturday and Sunday. The official results now for the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Australasia. Damien Hamilton with the perfect weekend in terms of a points haul. Jim Policina, wonderful race, and he now regains a bit more of a buffer in his title run. Steve Wyatt, that was so much fun to watch you come home in 3rd. Enzo Cheng playing the long game. He has another round to try and mount his bid for the championship. We look now to Copper Shell, and that move by Taguchi at the end minimised the damage that Trewone was about to do in the title hunt. So Trewone now leads the championship battle as we head to the final round. Hutters was a wonderful addition, and we also saw Ross Tamain and Stephen Coe in the Trofeo Pirelli 488. What a wonderful weekend's racing. It didn't matter whether it was Trofeo Pirelli or the Copper Shell, the top 2 classes, the racing was on throughout.
Absolutely, and I mean, the guys at Trofeo Pirelli, we always expect to see close and hard racing, but Copper Shell have really turned it up this weekend. It's part of it's the track, but part of it, the drivers have just come through, and also noticing Trewone there with a bonus point for fastest lap in Copper Shell. Well done also to the Zagami Melbourne team. They've done a fantastic job in prepping that car for Damien all weekend. Rod Wilson, who heads up that team, huge amount of experience in this category in Australian motorsport, and a team that works so hard to get everything done. But Damien really just delivering for the team. Fantastic results all weekend. Well done to him.
So we'll have more time to dissect very shortly. It won't be long from when we can hear from each of our winners of the 3 different classes. Remember, it's Trofeo Pirelli. We'll also hear from the winner of Copper Shell, and we'll also hear from the winner of Trofeo Pirelli 488. Sam Charwood's in position. Let's hear from our winners.
Yes, thank you very much, Cam. What an amazing result and an amazing weekend for Damien Hamilton. I'll let you get your hat on. That looked picture perfect once again. Congratulations.
Oh, it's a lot more stressful than it looks, believe me.
Well, you're making it look easy.
No. No, I knew Steve right next to me. Has a lot of experience right next to me on the grid, and I just had to stay focused and stop thinking and drive.
How advantageous was it to you to have the 2 guys going cat and mouse in the back, just to give you a bit of a buffer at the front?
I was hoping that's what happened, but I couldn't see it. Okay. So
just running your own.
To ask the team, but no, you should be focused on what you're doing.
Yeah. I heard Steve White, your driver coach, sort of telling you and prompting you to almost qualifying laps, just focusing on markers, focusing on braking. Is that what sort of helped you through that?
Yeah, just stick with what you can control. If that's happening, great. He was telling me the gaps, so the tyres are pretty fried by the end of the race, so you still got to keep an eye on that. But it was just push and get to the end.
Now you've sort of had a moment to gather your thoughts. Like, what is it like to execute this, to be fastest in qualifying, win race 1, race 2, and to check off every box for the weekend?
It's pinch me stuff, isn't it? You don't expect it, particularly with the guys on the grid. It's an awesome car. They're awesome teams. They're awesome drivers. You take the luck when you can.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, you deserve it.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on next, guys, to the winner of the Copper Shell class. So many cool storylines playing out in this class across the weekend. David Trewern, congratulations to you, winner of your class.
No, thank you. That was probably the most intense and fun race I've done. That was great.
What made it so intense for you?
Oh, definitely at the start. I started behind Massa. He's 1 point ahead of me in the championship. I had Jim next to me, so I just had to I knew I had to come out of turn 2 in front of Massa. Otherwise, I'd have a problem, which I did. So, yeah, I'm happy I got that done.
You have to obviously race what's in front of you, but how much was the sort of championship complexion kind of playing out in your head at the same time?
Oh, well, there's 1 round to go, and we're really close. And if Massa had won today, it means I've got to win the next 2. So, for sure, I was going for that. Yeah.
And we have that championship finale in not too long, 18th to the 20th of September at Sydney Motorsport Park. Is that a circuit that you like?
It's probably my least favourite circuit, but it'll be my favourite circuit by the time I get there.
I bet. Well done today. Enjoy the celebration.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Great to get David's thoughts as well. We'll finish finally with the 488 class, and once again, it is Ross Tamain. Hello, congratulations. You're a race winner, but also a championship winner for the season with a round to go. What a feeling.
It's so great. Yeah. Yeah, stoked.
You got some support here. What's it like sort of doing this in front of your friends and family?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, it's good. They know how passionate I am about motorsport, and I can't thank the guys enough that have helped me get through this year. Sam Brabham and my team and Ferrari Australia. Everyone's been a really great support, and it's been good for me to let the 14-year-old Ross show what it was all about. So,
well done. Enjoy the celebration.
Cheers.
Back to you guys.
Well done, Sam Charwood, down there in the stop areas, and great to hear so many happy, proud drivers as part of the 3 classes we have with the Ferrari Challenge Australasia. We'll talk about the championship permutations heading into the final round later, but let's look now to the highlights of race 2, round 4 of the championship. And you heard before from David Trewern, it was stressful. Well, it was stressful for him. It was stressful in the commentary box. I can see what happened there. Pollicina just sent it, didn't he? He just found the hole shot and went straight through.
I think it's what he manifested from yesterday. He had an opportunity to try and do that. The door was shut in his face yesterday, and he's made that work so well to his favour. And I think that's a championship deciding moment there. If he didn't have such a good first lap, he would have had to work a lot harder through the race to try and maintain that position and those points.
Incredible commitment from him, and it put himself into the contention, or at least the ability to control the race from there. Enzo Cheng went hunting Steve Wyatt early, but the car just wasn't underneath him throughout the majority of that race. Enzo Cheng, you can see him there. He was running that high line again, but just never looked threatening, did he? His times were still within the 109.9s. His best lap time was 2-3 tenths away from the 2 in front. But David Trewern, we saw him at the start, and that commitment to get past Taguchi-san early set him up But I bet when he looked in the mirrors and saw Mark Hutters again, he went, this is not going to be an easy race.
No, I mean, Mark has just had an awesome turn of pace this weekend, really seeing him push that car hard. Ben Porter also coaching Mark Hutters, in fact, over the weekend. So he's definitely unleashed some performance out of that car for Mark. And Mark's doing, a wonderful job driving it. But Steve Wyatt really was the man to look at in that race, just having a go at every opportunity as well. The race that was going on here between these Copper Shell cars, Jason Yu, Amel Norton, was just a fantastic race to sort of watch. Amel, though, having a big moment there, trying to avoid sliding up the inside. We didn't catch that during the race, but it's definitely a big moment. It's something we didn't kind of pick up on, but it explains where that sort of that gap became for the 100 car.
Yeah, he dropped behind Jason Yu, didn't he? But by the end of the race was able to get back through. Same with Sabai, who had another moment out on track trying to get around Jason Yu. But this was the battle throughout. We couldn't take our eyes off it. When we saw the slight squiggle from the 7, we thought this is the Sabai moment I referred to earlier. So he dropped back behind Jason Yu. Eventually, by the end of the race, he got him and got some additional points for himself, finishing 5th in the Trofeo Pirelli class. But he tried everything, did Steve Wyatt. Trying to get through to 2nd place. He tried the outside, tried the inside, tried to go the high line around 6, but Jim Policina just had an answer for every question that was asked.
He just did everything right in terms of placing his car in the right position and really pushing Steve to go, as we see here, the long way around. And a couple of times I thought he was going to make this move stick, but, Jim knows there's less grip on the outside. If he can get the car rotated to the inside there, drive across the exit, it will really push Steve towards the side of the track. So it really made him work for it hard.
This was the big moment, though, when we thought the job was done by Steve Wyatt. I think he thought it was as well. Ran a little bit wide, and Jim Policina only needed a car's width of access and was straight up the inside, gave him a slight little bump on the way through, and then controlled it on the inside of the corner for the remainder of the race. This was a heart-in-mouth moment for Steve Wyatt when he realised, you can't run too wide around turn 6.
No, and he was, as you say, was trying everything. That was probably the critical one there, running deep into the corner and losing a fair bit of time, really pushing him back towards, Enzo Cheng as well, who he thought was going to push hard into the back of Stephen White there. It was just a fantastic race to watch, but this man, Damien Hamilton, just did such a wonderful job all weekend. And as we said, that Zagami Autosport team doing a wonderful job prepping the car, and Damien really executing.
And it's brought him into the conversation around the championship. We're not far away from our podium. We'll continue to talk you through it. Sam Charwood's in position. He'll be presenting locally for the massive crowd that we had here. And you're seeing our drivers from the Trofeo Pirelli category getting up onto the podium. There's Steve Wyatt now receiving his 3rd place trophy. And then Jim Policina, put your hands together for them. That was incredible from these drivers. What a race from those two. And take us through some of the numbers you've got there, because that championship is heating up in Trofeo Pirelli.
Trofeo Pirelli, we're seeing Jim Policina 84 points at the moment, Enzo Cheng only just behind on 76, but Damien Hamilton coming in at 73. So there's only a few points between it here. It literally is a step or two of the podium that's going to make this difference coming into the round in Sydney. But then down into Copper Shell, it's still only 2 points between David Trewone and Masahiro Taguchi, with David Trewone being on the upper side of that now.
So you can see Damien Hamilton there in the middle. He's got his multiple trophies in hand. It's sort of, sometimes when you have such a dominant weekend, you don't get the love on broadcast, do you? Because you're looking at all the other races, and some of your best drives can go unnoticed when you can have such a dominant weekend like Damien Hamilton did. And you can hear the crowd. You've got some numbers there. It was well over 5,000 for the weekend.
I just saw just over 5,000 for today, Cam.
For today?
Yeah, I just saw just over 5,000 for today, which is just amazing. This Queensland weather has certainly turned it on for us, but the crowd has come out in droves for Ferrari Festival, and having the drivers put in a wonderful display this afternoon.
So putting those numbers together, if we were over 5,000 for today, I know we were over 2,500 for Saturday. That's a credit to everybody involved with organising Ferrari Festival Queensland. We lifted and showed, or certainly set the bar in Sydney last year. I think Queensland has absolutely raised that bar. Not going to start talking about State of Origin, though.
We've still got a game to go, don't we, Cam? We've still got one game to go.
Hey, I'm a Melburnian. I'm staying out of State of Origin, mate. If you bring it to the MCG, we'll fill the place, so don't worry.
No, it's been a wonderful day, and it's great to see, it is the end of the day for our final race, but it's great to see so many people hanging around, and, it's such a wonderful crowd that's been here supporting all weekend, and the grid walk and the pit walk before was just packed as well.
The pit walk, what I loved about it, and I was talking with some of the team from Ferrari Australasia, it was the kids that are there. And I remember going to a racetrack as a kid, and I don't remember drivers. I've always remembered cars. Cars always stuck with me. There was a little boy who would have been 3, and he was walking up to his favourite Ferrari, and it was because it was green. And I guarantee you that kid, when you speak to him when he's 16, will remember when he came to a racetrack and saw his favourite green Ferrari.
Mate, it's a good point. My first memory of motorsport really is 4 years old at Adelaide Grand Prix, standing in a Ferrari Formula 1 car. Stood in the seat, and that's still etched in my memory as, one of my first experiences with motorsport. So, yeah, it's really cool to see other kids having that same experience. And, you might see that same kid in 20 years' time doing bad commentary up here instead of me.
Well, that's what happens, mate. We see a car when we're kids, and next thing you know, we're in our 40s still working in the sport, isn't it?
That's right.
So great to see. That was the podium for Copper Shell as well. And then we should also take a moment to pay respect to the team that are part of Trofeo Pirelli 488. They're the older model cars, but they don't put in any less effort for their racing. And we saw Ross Tamain, who took out both races, and he now wins that class. I mean, you've still got 1 round to go, and we have to account for points deductions for bad penalties, but the guy he is, that is his. He's locked it, and I think we'll see him in a Copper Shell car next year.
I think so. I mean, he's really keen for that. I mean, you never know how the stars will align. He could jump into a car for Sydney. If he's got the championship wound up, he might have an opportunity to run for the final round in Sydney with us. But Stephen Coe there as well. He has kept a clean nose in that car all year, and he's done such a fantastic job in terms of just managing the traffic. When these faster guys are coming through, he's really respectful of the other cars that are racing for championships and giving them the space to work with. But let's not forget about Stephen doing a fantastic job there. But Ross, just doing such a wonderful job and really really enjoying his racing and his time in Ferrari Challenge.
So let's go through those numbers again just before we close out our broadcast today. So Trofeo Pirelli, Jim Policina still leads from Enzo Cheng, but Damien Hamilton's in contention. What are the gaps we've got?
We've got 6 points between, so 8 points between Jim and Enzo, and then only 3 points between Enzo and Damien.
So that's 11 points separating the top 3, with up to, 34 points available for a weekend?
Correct, and basically 4 of those points are bonus points for qualifying and fastest laps. So we've seen Damien showing that pace, so it's going to be on for young and old when we get to Sydney Motorsport Park.
And if you think those numbers are tight, Copper Shell?
Only 2 points between David Trewern and Masahiro Taguchi.
Incredible weekend racing, and to think we've still got 1 round to go with the championship. Let's look at the official results from race 2 here at the Ferrari Festival Queensland. Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli Australasia. Damien Hamilton with the perfect weekend. Jim Policina in 2nd. Steve Wyatt in 3rd. Enzo Cheng in 4th in Trofeo Pirelli. We look at the Copper Shell class first. David Trewern, Taguchi-san in 2nd. Hutters in 3rd. Emil Norden in 4th in class. We then look back to Sabai. He was the last of our runners in Trofeo Pirelli. Jason Yu, 10th outright, but he was also 5th in class. Valden, Frisch, then the class that is Trofeo Pirelli 488, Ross Tamain and Stephen Coe. That was your 14-car field that certainly punched well and truly above its weight. But we talked about the size of the crowd. More than 5,000 people here today. I think they were all in pit lane. Look at the pit lane walk from earlier today. It was jammed. You can see me in there. Look there, I'm just having a chat as well.
I could see your shoes, Cam, these bright white shoes you've got on this weekend. But the best bit about this is the teams and the interaction with the cars as well.
All right, so a man that was down there with me, Sam Charwood, mate, what a weekend.
Guys, it was a fantastic weekend, a festival of Ferrari, and a sea of people here, that might be new to the brand. They might be lifelong aficionados of the brand. Maybe they've owned a few cars, but you can see thousands of people here still behind the pit complex here at Queensland Raceway. So it's just been fantastic. This is, of course, round 4 of 5, so there's still much more action to come, but a brilliant race to end a brilliant weekend here in Ipswich.
Well done, Sam Charwood. Brilliant work from you, co-hosting and also working the pit lane. You've gone through your shoes as well. Let's have a look at that final round coming up. This was the series to date, up to round 4, which is this weekend. Then the last round in Sydney Motorsport Park, 18th to 20th of September. The championships are alive, but it's now our chance to say thank you to everybody involved with putting on Ferrari Festival Queensland in 2026. It was round 4 of a championship, but it was a unique event in its own right. Thank you to everyone involved in our production. Renato Liberto, Cameron Van den Dungen up here in the commentary box. We really enjoyed you tuning in, and we will see you next time.